All right, let's just jump right in, shall we? We're going to tackle something that pretty much every single one of us has felt: anxiety. We're going to break down what it really is, how it shows up in our bodies, and maybe, just maybe, what it's trying to tell us. You know that feeling, right? That knot that just twists up in your stomach before a huge presentation or maybe a really tough conversation. That physical, that unease, that tension, that is exactly where we're starting today. It's how our body physically reacts to an emotion that's all about what's coming next. So let's get right down to it. What is anxiety? Well, at its very core, it's all about the future. It has nothing to do with what's happening this very second. Nope. It's all about what could happen, what might happen down the road. And see that word right there? Anticipated. That's the key. So many other emotions are reactions to what's happening right now. But anxiety is different. It's your mind and body getting ready for some kind of potential threat in the future. It's that uneasy feeling about something that hasn't even happened, and honestly, might never happen at all. Okay, and this is super important. We tend to throw the words anxiety and fear around like they're the same thing, but they're absolutely not. And to get a handle on the difference, I want you to think about a smoke detector in your brain. Just keep that image in your head. We're going to circle back to it. So here's the deal. It all comes down to timing and, well, how specific the threat is. Fear is what you feel when you see a bear, like right there in front of you. It's immediate, it's specific, it's happening now. Anxiety, on the other hand, is that nagging worry about the possibility of a bear being in the woods before you've even stepped on the trail. See the difference? It's future-focused and kind of vague. And this also explains why they feel different for so long. Fear kicks in that classic fight or flight response. It's super intense, but it's short. The bear runs away, and pretty soon the fear fades. But anxiety can just hang around. It can be this long-lasting mood that just lingers. Okay, remember that smoke detector? This is where it comes in. It's called the smoke detector principle. Think about it from an evolutionary perspective. Our brains developed this alarm system to keep us alive, and it's designed to be extra sensitive on purpose. Why? Because back in the day, missing a real threat like a saber-toothed tiger was, fatal. A false alarm? Not so much. So yeah, sometimes it goes off just because you burnt the toast, and that's your anxiety just doing its job, even though it feels awful. All right, let's go back to that feeling, that knot in your stomach, because anxiety is so not just in your head. It's a full-on, whole-body experience, and the connection between your brain and your gut, it's ridiculously powerful. In fact, it's at the heart of how we physically feel anxiety. And get this. This quote from a psychophysiologist named R.M. Stern, it totally changes how you think about that queasy feeling. Nausea isn't some random, annoying symptom. It's actually a super old protective signal. When your brain senses a threat, your body goes into survival mode. And guess what's not a priority? Digestion. So that feeling is literally your body saying, hey, hold off on that sandwich, we might need to run. So how do scientists even study this stuff? Well, they use some pretty wild tools, like this thing called an optokinetic drum. Basically, by spinning these patterns, it creates this visual confusion that can make you feel motion sick and nauseous, safely, of course. This lets researchers see exactly what's happening inside our bodies and figure out how our state of mind can crank up those physical feelings, or dial them way down. And what they've found is just wow. It turns out that things happening in your mind, psychological factors, they act like a volume knob for nausea. So when you're feeling anxious, or even if you just think you're going to feel sick, your nausea threshold literally drops. It makes you way more likely to feel that queasy sensation. It's a perfect example of that direct line between your head and your gut. But it's not just about nausea, not at all. This brain-gut connection, or axis, it's a two-way street, a constant chatter happening inside you. Stress and anxiety up in the brain can directly stir up trouble in the gut. We're talking about things called functional gastrointestinal disorders, like indigestion that has no clear physical cause. But here's the cool part. Because it's a two-way street, helping your brain can actually help your gut feel better too. And we're not just guessing here. There's solid proof. A huge meta-analysis, that's a study of a bunch of other studies, found that therapies that focus on the mind, like cognitive behavioral therapy, had a real, measurable impact on reducing those physical gut symptoms. It's not just a nice idea, it's backed by data. And this chart right here really drives it home. You can see it clear as day. The group that got psychotherapy, they had a way bigger drop in their gut symptoms compared to the group that didn't. It's just powerful evidence that taking care of the mind is a crucial, critical part of taking care of the body.
Okay, so up to this point, we've been talking about anxiety as this normal, even useful emotion, even if it feels pretty crummy. But what happens when that smoke detector just gets stuck in the on position? When does it stop being a signal and cross over into being a real clinical disorder?
Well, there are basically three big things to look for. First, the feeling isn't just a fleeting worry, it's way over the top, and it just sticks around. Second, and this is a big one, it starts getting in the way of your actual life, your work, your relationships, your day-to-day stuff. And third, we're not talking about just a bad week. This is something that's persistent, day in and day out. And just to give you a concrete idea of what that means, for a diagnosis like generalized anxiety disorder, clinicians are typically looking for these symptoms to be present for at least 6 months. That specific time frame is a really key part of what separates a clinical disorder from, say, a really stressful but temporary chapter in your life. Now, the good news, and it's really good news, is that even when anxiety feels completely overwhelming, there are proven, effective ways to manage it. The goal isn't to just switch off your internal alarm system completely. That would be a bad idea. It's about learning how to recalibrate it, to turn down the sensitivity a bit. So what does that look like? Well, step one is always to check with a doctor to make sure there isn't some other medical thing going on that's causing the symptoms. After that, psychotherapy is a fantastic place to start. Something called cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT, is especially right. It basically teaches you how to reality check that smoke alarm. Is this a real fire or is it just burnt toast? It helps you retrain the thought patterns that are feeding the anxiety. And of course, for some people, medication can also be a really helpful piece of the puzzle, usually working hand in hand with therapy. And this brings us right back to where we started. Remember that super strong two-way street between the brain and the gut? Well, the very same therapies that help calm the mind have been proven to help calm the gut. It's all one system. It's all connected. So if there's one thing to take away from all this, it's this. Anxiety isn't just static. It's not just noise. It's a signal. Now, sure, sometimes it's a false alarm, that burnt toast again. But sometimes it's actually pointing to something in your life that really needs your attention. So the real question isn't, how do I get rid of this feeling? The better question is, what is this signal trying to tell me?